Okay, I just want to finish off this section on empowerment and collaboration and talk about meetings because clearly at any organization, the flow of information is based on meetings often. But what I want to say is meetings can either have a positive effect or a negative effect on empowerment and collaboration. And the big thing that what I've noticed is people don't necessarily dislike meetings. They just dislike bad meetings. So the number of times this comes up, we have too many meetings, they're not effective, I shouldn't be there, etc., etc. All right. So we need some structure and process with our meetings in order to affect our empowerment and our collaboration. So once again, meetings can either have a positive effect or a negative effect on empowerment and collaboration. People don't dislike meetings. They dislike poor meetings. Okay. So what are some of the things that we just shouldn't do? Don't have meetings just for the sake of it. All right. We need another meeting. We need another meeting. I'm not saying we don't have meetings, but there has to be a purpose behind the meeting. So don't have meetings just for the sake of having a meeting. Often people are in meetings that don't even need to be there. So what does that do? It takes up their time. It leads to frustration, and pretty much they're sitting there not contributing, but they're thinking about doing something else. All right. So don't have meetings for the sake of it. Don't invite people that don't need to be there. And this is probably one of my biggest frustrations. Don't start late or finish late because then it adds to that frustration. I need to be somewhere else. Why haven't we started? Why is my time more important? I got here at 5 to 9. The meeting starts at 9. Okay, so you can see what happens in people's minds. Finishing late, people looking at the clock. What are we doing? Hang on, I've got another meeting to get to. And suddenly, all those meetings get piled up on the end of the day, and the last meeting starts an hour late. Now, we've all seen that, right? So don't have meetings for the sake of it. Don't invite people that don't need to be there, and don't start late or finish late. Be disciplined with your meetings. This is the number one thing. Have a clear understanding of why the meeting is taking place and what the outcomes are expected. Too often, we just get locked into this meeting cycle and we just have the meeting and we walk out of there. No one really has any idea why we've met. And certainly, there's been no decisions or outcomes. Once again, waste of time, leads to frustration, no collaboration, no empowerment, no decision making, frustration. All right. So how do we want to have effective meetings? First of all, a clear agenda. All right. So everyone knows exactly what the meeting is going to be about. This is why we're coming together. These are some of the things we're discussing. So it gives people a chance to prepare themselves before they get there. All right. And then with the clear agenda, we also know who we need to invite. A clear facilitator to run the meeting. Even the meetings that I've been in, it's frustrating because things don't happen because everyone talks and no one really facilitates and pulls it back to the agenda. So we get through the agenda, we tick off the things we need to get ticked off. So someone needs to run the meeting. Healthy, honest discussion, right? Everyone needs to speak. We need to have debate. We need to thrash out some things, but we also need to make decisions. For instance, do we need to vote on a decision? All right. We have to make, too often we leave meetings and no decisions being made. A decision may be we need to bring this up again. That's a decision, right? So we don't have to close the loop on every agenda item, but we need to make decisions on each agenda item. Okay, so be understanding what is that decision we are making, and then clear actionable outcomes with clarity on who is responsible for those actions. So if we've made a decision, who is actioning that decision? Everyone at that meeting knows, okay, Ruzi needs to do this, so I'll have to follow up with him. Mary has to do this, so I'm going to have to follow up with her. So clear agenda, a clear facilitator to run the meetings, healthy, honest conversation, making decisions. A decision can be we need to meet again about this, or a vote, we need, and then clear, actionable outcomes with clarity on who is responsible. What are some of the challenges? All right. And as we go through the challenge, side conversations. Two people start talking over there, two people start talking over there. So we're getting distracted from what we need to do. Facilitator, take control. Bring it back. Can we pick up later? Or everyone needs to hear that. Let's come back to what we want to come back to. Diverse opinions. Now, they can be challenges, but they can be good. Discuss, debate. Your meeting time is your time for discussion and debate. But someone has to decide. We're not going to win every battle. Okay? Diverse opinions are good, but again, we need to discuss, we need to decide. Time restrictions. Again, a decision needs to be made. Let's not get to the end of the meeting and we've had 5 agenda items and we've made no decisions on any of the agenda items. Let's work through them. We've done this. This one needs to come back to. We need to come back to this because a decision hasn't been made. So the decision on that is we need to come back to it. That is a decision. I want to be clear on that. But we can't get to the end of the meetings. Everyone walks out and no one has any idea about who's doing what decisions are being made. And then we come back to the next meeting and we start again, basically. Everyone has to have a voice. So the leader or the facilitator, okay, ask, but speak up. Speak up. Facilitators should be asking, Paul, what do you think of that? Because if you don't speak up in the meeting, you're part of the decision, regardless of your thoughts. I want to be really clear on that. If you have the opportunity in the meeting, the discussion has taken place, diverse opinions, we discussed, and we've made a decision, and you don't speak up, you're part of that decision. Facilitator, ask. If there's a naturally introverted person, we need to invite them into the conversation as well. So the facilitator becomes really important. So side conversations, diverse opinions, time restrictions, and everyone has to have a voice. The discipline. We've got to look at meetings in a disciplined manner. And I think, again, if we look at the difference between the AFL system and the corporate system, we have to play on the weekend. All right. We can't ring up the AFL and say, look, I know we've got a game at 2:10 on Saturday, but the best player is injured. We can't really get everyone together. Do you mind if we push that back to Monday? We can't postpone a game. So every meeting has to have a purpose. Every meeting has to have a time restriction, and every meeting has to have an outcome. So look at your meetings from a disciplined point of view. Corporate world, you can kick the can down the road. Right? Oh, let's push that meeting back. Oh, let's push that decision back. And it happens all the time. We all know it does. So look at your meetings as an opportunity for discipline. All right. Every meeting has a purpose. Every meeting has time restrictions and every meeting has an outcome. The discipline of AFL football means that you have to get things done. You have to have a system in place to do it. The lack of discipline, given the fact that we can put things back continually, means things often don't get done and people get frustrated. There's no collaboration, there's no empowerment, no one's making decisions, lack of trust, etc., etc. So be really disciplined with your meetings. So the structure, and I'll just quickly go through it. All right, AFL demands structure. Monday, review the game. Tuesday, player review. Wednesday, pick the team and start looking at the opposition. Thursday, prepare the team. Saturday, play. All right, there's no wiggle room. We have to be structured and we have to be disciplined. So when you're thinking about the discipline of your meetings, think about the outcomes and think about the structure you want to put in place. My view on meetings is have them in around your process and structure because you can always take them out. It's really hard to add meetings. People, if you get a text message the night before and say, oh, look, we're not meeting tomorrow, we've already ticked that box, people go, oh, great, I've got a spare hour, as opposed to we've got a meeting tomorrow morning. So try and be really structured around the way you set up your organization and set up your meetings. And if you do have to take them out, it's way easier to have to put them in. Discipline and structure. Okay, so what is the structure? What is your structure? And are you disciplined? There's two really important questions that you need to answer. Whatever organization it is, whether even in your family, are you structured? Are you disciplined? Right? Or are you just trying to meet for the sake of meetings and mixing everything in nothing in one or two meetings? So we're putting everything in, we're really putting nothing in, and we're having a couple of meetings a week because it sounds like we need to do it. All right. So ask yourself the question, what is your structure? Are you disciplined, or are you just trying to meet for the sake of meeting and mixing everything and nothing in one or two meetings? Effectiveness. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've experienced and give you a couple of examples. I was doing one of my first workshops I did was with a sort of a marketing company, not a big company, about 20 people. We went through the workshop, and one of their biggest problems was collaboration. Now, they found it really hard to collaborate. And by the end of the day, someone said, this has been fantastic. I know my people more. We've collaborated better than we've ever done before. And the question was, I said, well, Ruzi, what would you suggest we do? And I was a little bit puzzled because I was sitting there thinking, well, we're in a boardroom. We have the whole team together and we've just spent a good day together and we're all in the same office. So quite naively, I said to them, well, can you meet once a week? And they said, yeah, well, we're all here in a meeting where we got in there today. Okay, well, why don't you do that? And they thought it was this groundbreaking decision. But again, we're so busy in the work, we don't often get a chance. So all they really had to do was once a week do a check-in, all get together. Are we sharing information? How can I help you? So it's a really simple solution. All right. We get so much work done today in our workshop, but how do we continue to do it? Simple. Put a structured meeting in once a week where we can share information, we can tick things off because you've had such a good day today, you've shared information, you've collaborated so much better. Simple solution. Sometimes it's not that hard. All right. I was working with a real estate company. Now, this huge Monday meeting, as you can imagine, real estate's a bit like football. They have their auctions on the weekend, opens on the weekend. So I got to know them quite well and got to know their structure really well. I was talking to one of the directors one day and asked them what are some of the problems. He said, oh, I think sometimes, we don't help each other with buyers. I said, and I was shocked. I sort of said, well, don't you have a Monday meeting where you spend 3 or 4 hours on a Monday? Now, mind you, this director was always late to the meeting and wasn't all that attentive. But again, I naively said, don't you have a meeting every Monday? He goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, well, what do you do? He said, oh, we talk about the properties. I said, well, don't you ask each other at that meeting if you've got any buyers that would be looking for the property that you're selling and vice versa? Isn't that the opportunity? So they already had a meeting in place, but they had no structure for the meeting and no outcome. All right. So there's just two really good examples. So I want you to challenge yourself around the meetings. We want to discuss, we want to debate, we want to decide. This is the other thing that frustrates me. No water cooler talk. We collectively own it. We collectively own it. When we make a decision in a meeting, we discuss it, we debate it, and we decide. We don't then walk out of the meeting going, oh, it was Ruzi's decision. It was our decision. That's an effective meeting. Discuss, debate, decide. No water cooler talk. Okay, you might have lost your argument, but collectively we have made a decision. You need to be really clear on that. And it happened a lot in match committee, right? Where someone would want a certain player to play, got outvoted, we would walk out, everyone picked that team. But I did have a coach that would walk out and say, well, I picked you in the team and someone else didn't. Just not on. All right. We own the decision. If we decide, we've debated, we've discussed, we own it, and there's no water cooler talk. Another huge pitfall of meetings. All right, so I want you to do an exercise now. So take a little bit of time, whatever those meetings, the meeting might be at home. Again, you might be involved in meetings, not leading the meetings, but I want you to think about the quality of the meetings that you're involved in or you're leading or you're part of, and I want you to rate them out of 10. All right, so the agenda out of 10. Generally speaking, now you might be the company that have 5 or 6 meetings a week. So maybe you could either do all of them or maybe the average. So rate the agenda, the content, the facilitation, the outcome, and the professionalism. All right, so just pause it now, take some time, and just do an assessment of your meetings. What do they look like? Really, really important. Okay, effective meetings. This module is about empowerment, collaboration. Effective meetings will lead to greater collaboration, clearly, and then greater trust, and then as a result, greater empowerment. So effective meetings are incredibly important to foster empowerment and collaboration. All right, so once again, really simple. At the end of this module, I hope you understand that this is relatively simple, but we need to put processes and systems in place. Empowerment refers to the process of giving individuals or teams the authority, confidence, and resources to take control and make decisions that affect them. It often involves providing the tools, we've talked about it, support, clarity, opportunities needed for personal or collective growth, enabling them to increase their self-esteem and autonomy. Collaboration means working together, better meetings with others to achieve a common goal. What is the common goal? It involves teamwork, communication, cooperation, where individuals or groups share ideas, resources, and responsibilities to complete a task or project effectively. All right, empowerment and collaboration.